Hey there, friends. How's it going? Welcome to today's episode of the Healthy Catholic Moms podcast. I am super happy to be here with you today as we talk about problem solving obstacles for our health and fitness. This is something that I think I just do on a personal level very often with clients and friends, like where it's just conversational. Things come up, and obviously in that scenario, I'm typically the one trying to come up with some solutions, which we're going to talk about today. But that's friendship, that's life, that's motherhood, that's all the things where so often I'm in the other seat where I'm saying, like, I am just running into this. Like, is anybody else? Like, what do you do for this? And just talking things out and walking away with maybe a fresh perspective, at least like sometimes too, like women are external processors. We just need to say it out loud and we'll come to the solution ourselves. We don't even need someone to say it, but it kind of makes a light bulb go off in our head. So maybe some of these things as we work through them today will pop out to you as like, yeah, I really have been letting that be an excuse, or that is a reality. That's like a fact, but I didn't realize this alternative solution to it. Weird example, but just the other day, I was in a weird spot where I've actually not been doing grocery pickup in forever. I've been going to the stores because with, inflation and all that jazz that's still around, I have been wanting to get the most out of my money just in the store. I know there's lots of different feelings on this. I've done a couple episodes on ways to reduce grocery costs. And when I know maybe not the first episode I ever did on it, but my more previous episode, I had shared as a money saving tip doing grocery pickup so that you could monitor your cart as you added things and, stay within. It helps, you not grab those last minute items. I avoid that Aldi aisle where you come home with like a new bath mat and like a weird kitchen appliance you didn't really need. Lots of other cute stuff. Like I get a lot of cute stuff in that aisle. But case in point, there's like an extra 30 bucks on when I go to Aldi and I go in that aisle. But then my more recent of whatever episode it is, I don't know what the title, but there was something about saving money groceries. I actually shared with all of you that I have not been doing that, not been doing any grocery pickups because I was just finding that the markups were so high. I just wanted my, dollar to stretch as far as it could. And it killed me that I'm like, I know that this is a dollar cheaper in the store or 40 cents cheaper, and whatever per item really adds up. And I'm like, I just need to suck it up and go in the store and make, these dollars go into the groceries, not just in the convenience of the pickup. But anyway, all that to say is I've not done pickup in a while, but I was in the position where I was staying with my sister's kids for a couple days. So I had like their three and our three plus the baby in my belly, obviously. And it was like that for a couple days. And then once we were switching back to our house in a very like quick little timetable, like switch back to our house, bring my son to Taekwondo, go drop off a car with my husband at the mechanics. Like then I was not going to have a car for at least 2 days. So I was looking at the fact that we were not going to have groceries. And I kind of panicked because I forgot about the car drop off situation until the day before we did it. I was like, what am I going to do here? Because we're going to go home and have zero groceries for like 2 days, like no milk, no anything. Because we haven't been here for 5 days. Anyway, I'm like, Brittany, like, just go do a grocery pickup. So instead of schlepping 6 kids into the store, 6 kids under six, I don't even know how I would have done it. I know it's obviously possible, but I did not want to try to do that. So I went and did a grocery pickup because that I can do with the kids and they live close to us. So that, obviously that only worked because of that. So I dropped the groceries at my house, went back and restocked theirs, etc., and moved on. But sometimes we can really just sit in our problem and not see any solution at all. Like there is no solution happening. And that is where I encourage you, if I don't happen to talk about your specific obstacle right now, talk it out with a friend, talk it out with your husband. Cause seriously, that sometimes my husband doesn't even have to say anything. I just had to like state the problem, toss it out there, or he does really encourage me well sometimes where I cannot see my way out of that problem. Like he probably would have seen that in a second and been like, could you just pick up some or, like, could you have them even delivered at that point? Like, obviously we're not usually spending the money on that, but like in that scenario where that's all you can do. Also at the time of recording this, our vacation would have already happened, but we have I'm going to make this episode all about grocery pickup, but we have a vacation coming up at the time of recording this that's already passed by the time you're hearing it. And it's always a weird time. Like by the time we drive down, get where we're going, it's always like dinner time and we just want to get there. And we're getting there on a Saturday. And then our first beach day is a Sunday, but we also need to go to mass and grocery shop, like all this stuff. So I wonder how this actually went by the time you guys are listening to this. But now we were trying to problem solve this before it came up because we've done this for several years where we're like, okay, we always get there, everyone's starving. We want to check in and stuff, but we want to grocery shop, but whatever, all this stuff. So one year I've gone to the grocery store like 8 o'clock at night while he's like set up the condo and the kids and stuff where we all kind of unload and then he's in there setting up and I go. Or last year, what we did was just went to church on Sunday, went grocery shopping after, but then we, missed like half a beach day. I don't think we even went to the beach by that time because then it's like nap time, the whole thing. So our plan this year is we talked it out, but it took us talking out. I got the idea of the grocery delivery. So we'll see again if this comes to fruition. But I was like, Ben, we can probably get groceries delivered to the condo so that it's like we get there, get groceries delivered, which is again more than what we'd usually splurge on, but we're on vacation. Like it's going to be all right. Save that time. And could we possibly leave like an hour earlier and hit a Saturday vigil mass? Because usually we roll in like right in time for the vigil. So our game plan, I will have to, I'm never going to remember to report back on this. So maybe I'll tell you guys on Instagram or something when it happens, but you'll be hearing this after. So whatever. Our game plan is leave a little bit earlier than we usually do in the wee hours of morning so that we can hopefully catch the vigil mass, get our groceries delivered, just feel absolutely on top of the world so that we can go take like a beach walk and get dinner. But then we're set up with food and we've seen the Lord. And then Sunday, just head right to the beach. We'll see how this goes. Anyway, that was a really long tangent story to tell you that this is what we need to do sometimes is just problem solve. All right, let's get into your examples that it's probably more appropriate to like rather than your vacation hurdles of grocery and mass dilemma. You're probably here for a little more like, you can't get a workout in kind of thing. But first, I just want to say, and this is always the first step in figuring out solutions to my own problems or asking others for help to my own problems, is that me, we're not victims. Okay. We are in control of so much in our lives. And there's a lot I know that we're not in control of. If we hit traffic or the grocery place, like delivers our groceries to the wrong place, like there's room for error in a lot of places here, but you're in control of your life, like coming up with these solutions, being proactive about things. This is what we need to do. Like have some critical thinking. And I know some of you are listening to this who are way older, way more seasoned and experienced than I am, who are thinking like Brittany, yes, I've been doing this for years. My kids are all grown, et cetera. And that's awesome. And you're the kind of people that I usually go to for help on things like that. Like, well, what do I do for this? Or what do I do for this? But this is what we need to just take ownership of. Like when there are real obstacles or real excuses, like my husband works crazy hours, I can't go to the gym. Like, okay, it doesn't mean because you can't go to the gym, you can't work out at all. Or because you get no help with the kids, you can't eat healthily. Or, there's a lot of things that we maybe can't control. Or, God had other plans in, like how close together your babies are. That's a big one I hear from ladies like, well, they sit in that for a long time. Like, well, now I'm overweight and I have all this fat to lose because I was going to lose it after the first baby, but we got pregnant again so quickly and we weren't trying to, whatever. There's still so much that, okay, great things happen. Like, let's look at where you are right now and problem solve from there. So number one, look at your situation, assess whether or not you can or should change something, and then figure out the best situation for what you are left with. Okay. So I have an example for you for this. So in a perfect world, my absolute like ideal time to work out in scenario and environment, everything would be to I like morning, but I like to like wake up at like 6. Honestly, that would be my ideal wake up time. I usually have to force myself to get up at like 5 just to fit our lifestyle, but say I wake up at 6, I do my prayer, I have coffee, I have a meal in there. Then I go to the gym, say 8 or 9 when I'm up and I'm peppy and I have energy. And I do my workout at the gym by myself with my headphones in. Okay. That would be my ideal. Now, my reality is that I have a husband who works much earlier than that. I can't do exactly that, but then I can problem solve solutions. Like I could get a gym membership that has childcare. I could definitely do that. My kids are not in school. They are homeschooled. We could go to the gym. Mom could do her workout at 8 a.m. or when childcare opens. Then we could come home and do our school day. That's absolutely a solution we could do. I could go super early before my husband goes into work. I have done that in other seasons of life. I could go later after bedtime or when my husband gets home, if we don't have kid activities or whatever, jetting out and doing it before dinner, right after dinner or something. I could find a way to do it at home. I could find a way that I like to do it at home, even if it's not my preference, by finding like a video I really like or an app I really like or a program I really like, whatever. These are all solutions to our obstacle. Okay. Because right now the obstacle might be I can't work out because I can't go to the gym at 8 a.m. with my headphones in and do the workout I want to do. No, I can't. And like, okay, so what can I do? What is the next best thing? What is going to get a workout in a way that I will like, what is the most enjoyable way that I can? So for me personally, that is just, again, there's different seasons. I mentioned I used to go super early before my husband went to work a couple days a week, do the other ones at home, whatever. Currently, it works best for me, for my schedule, to do it in the morning before the day starts, get me going with energy before our homeschooling day and all that stuff and all the other things we have going on. And to do it from home is just the easiest, quickest. And the way I like to do it is really just getting in there and doing it. Okay. Sometimes I'll throw on a show in the background. Sometimes I'll follow along to something, whatever. But that's how I've chosen to kind of get to there. Okay. Another one I hear a lot though is I don't know what to do. Okay. I either don't know what to do or I don't have money to invest in figuring out what I should be doing. Like I can't do one of your programs, Brittany, or another program because, money's tight, blah, blah, blah. So it'd have to be from home, but I don't know what to do. Okay. Problem solving, start with free resources. There are so many resources out there in this way. I just do encourage you to find people that are reputable, that you trust, and then consume their free content. Like there's so much you can do. An example of this is, for Healthy Catholic Moms, I have done so many things through freebies. When I started this podcast, it was on Pat Flynn. If anyone's interested in making a podcast, he had this like free PDF or webinar or something. I think it was a PDF. I think it was a guide. I remember reading it. I probably have it downloaded on my computer still. I went to Barnes and Noble for like 2 hours on a night that my husband was home or a Saturday. I don't remember. I said, hey, I think that I want to do a podcast. And it'd be a great way, I think, to get free content out to women who are, wanting to grow in their health and fitness, because this is when a little after I had my son in 2017. And that is when I started listening to podcasts. So it took me, I was listening to podcasts for about 2 years and was like, okay, like, can I really do this? You have the whole, like, who am I to have a microphone and do this? And that's normal. That's natural. That's everybody. And that was totally me. Like, that's going to be really weird. Like, I can't tell my friends and family I have a podcast. And now, like, several years later, some of my friends and family have been on the podcast. But, I could not invest in a coach for that or even a course for that. I'm not making money off this podcast. I'm still not making money off this podcast. I don't take ads. Like, I just knew I needed to get something going in a cost-effective way. And by cost-effective, I mean like zero. My hosting site is like $12 to do this, the place where I put out. Okay. So I use somebody's free guide to do it. So there's always, workarounds for most things if cost is an issue. Okay. Another really common obstacle. My house is a mess. No one helps me. I'm always behind. Okay. Pause it. Again, you're going to kind of assess the situation, whether or not you can or should change something. So house is a mess. How can we change that? Can we put some systems into place so that you don't feel like that? So you don't feel like you're always behind and overwhelmed. Like for me, that came down to like setting specific days for specific things, knowing that I always wash the sheets on Thursdays, or if I don't, because life happens, I do it the next day, but having a system and a time and a place for these things. Maybe you need to delegate some of the work. So maybe you like just stopping and looking at that, like, how can I change this, or what should be changed? Sometimes we just need to step back and be like, oh, well, my kids are like 10, 8, 6, and nobody does any chores. Maybe I can have the 10-year-old start folding the towels every day or whatever. My 6-year-old folds the towels. I don't know, whatever you want to do. My 10-year-old's going to load the dishwasher every day. Or maybe I need to delegate this, ask my husband if he could take this on, or if we could do this. Or maybe we have a, like, as you're problem solving this, look at the situation. Like, why is it always a mess? Do you also have so much stuff that you guys don't need? Maybe you all need to take like a weekend or a Saturday and declutter some stuff, get rid of stuff. Like, we just have to stop and pause and not be stuck in the problem, back up and find a solution. That's another big one I hear all the time for why people can't work out, is because they don't have time, because there's always housework to do. Or when they have a free minute, they don't know if they should be doing housework or if they should be working out or what they should be doing, and like systems, I'm telling you, is the answer there, because then you don't feel guilty when you are, doing something else. Like, there's a time and place you're going to get to that. There's like, a caveat and things we could talk about there too, where is it C.S. Lewis? I think I might have even talked about this on the podcast, but I think it's in the Screw Tape Letters, where C.S. Lewis is saying, like, if I wanted to rip apart the family, I'm heavily paraphrasing here, I would, make sure that I encourage the man to sit down, put his feet up at the end of a long work day and have some recreation time. But I would make sure that the woman, can never rest and always has to look around for something to do, so that she resents the man for doing that and this and that. And I was like, wow, that is extremely relatable. Not saying my husband helps out a ton, does a ton of stuff. Like, it's, that's not my point here, but that's how I feel, is like, oh, I'm never going to be done. So I also think there's an element to needing to realize, like, all right. And sometimes we hang our head up and we say, that's a day, like that day is done. And you know what? My floors are not clean, but it's all right. Like, I would rather go read a book for a half hour than clean my floors right now, because they're just going to get messy tomorrow. So I think there's also a healthy balance there. All right. Let me see what else I've got for you. Okay, one more example, I guess, of this is when I sat in for a while of me being a victim and making myself a victim. This is not necessarily in health and fitness, but this was just in general. I was very annoyed by and stressed out by the fact that I don't really always know my husband's day-to-day work schedule and work hours, because he does not either. His work very much fluctuates depending on what's going on that day with the guys on his team and this and that, and needing to cover things and being on the road or being in the office or whatever. And that was a big stress point and pain point for me for a while, of like, okay, I already don't like feeling out of control. And then I am totally out of control of this. And there's so much up in the air of like, well, are you going to be able to take Josh Taekwondo, or am I going to be able to leave at 4:30 and go to a coffee shop and work for a couple hours? Like, there's all the things, like, we can't currently still plan anything for sure. Then I just had to realize, like, Brittany, this is not changing. Like, if he's not changing occupations or changing, some things, this is not in the foreseeable future changing. And there are so many other positive elements of his job and things he enjoys and I enjoy, and his job provides us, benefits and security and all these things. And I need to look at what I can control. And for me, that was, I just need to plan the days based on like him not being in the picture, which sounds really terrible as I say it. But, you've got to, I could sit in that forever. Like, well, this person can, their husband works from home, so they can run out at nap time and grocery shop, or they could go run errands, or like, well, if he was home, even just in my own life, like then, okay, well, if he makes it home, he could take Josh and I can do like, no, I just had to take that off the table. So I'm pleasantly surprised when he can do something, when we can make something work like that. So I just have to think, like, if it's the day Josh, our oldest, has Taekwondo, I just know I'm taking right now the other 2 little kids with me. It'll be 3 little kids soon. And I just know that's what's going to happen. Like, we have Taekwondo today and we're going to go there tonight, and I'll bring a couple books and toys, and then I'll come home, and then Ben will be home and we'll do our night and da-da-da. And obviously too, I also need to say, like, my husband works like a crazy person to try to make it to things. So this took stress off him and off me, because he like would not take a lunch break, is like driving around eating a wrap with one hand, like taking phone calls, like he hoofs it to try to get home for like these kind of events. But sometimes it's just, like it's just the way the day went and what he had to do. So it made it better for both of us to just be like, nope, you know what? We just got to run things like it's on me until you're home. And then, obviously like big things, 5 something like 8 o'clock at night. I know he's going to make it home for that kind of thing. But that gave me so much more freedom, joy, and whatever in the no, did I change could I change the actual situation and circumstance that was stressful to me? No, the fact remains that I don't know my husband's schedule day to day, but I just needed to take ownership of that and then plan it to the best of my ability with him out of the picture like that. Okay. I'm laughing because I kind of look ahead at my outline sometimes as I'm talking, and I looked ahead. I wrote this out a couple weeks ago, and sometimes I write my outlines out pretty strong and then I temper them when I read them. Like I do just write them like it's a note to myself, and then I say it in a nicer manner. But I don't know how to really soften this. And I do feel like I need to just say it. So I'm just going to read it how I wrote it. You can judge me from there, from wherever you're listening. Think like, oh, pretty. You could really have softened that. I could have, but that's not really my personality. I am pretty point blank and take it or leave it, But this is my last note for you today on problem solving our obstacles to our health and fitness is I really wrote this. I can't listen to people. Yes, I can. I will listen to you, but I don't have much patience for people. I will say that. I can't listen to people who want to sit on their pity throne and pontificate about how things would be easier if, in all caps, they had equipment in their house, if they had more money for a trainer, if they had more time in the day, if fill in the blank. Then I wrote, stop ifing all over the place. It's like kind of vulgar sounding, but it's really not. And figure out what to do with what you have. All right. I'm going to leave you with that beautiful, poetic sentence. Stop ifing all over the place. But it's true, ladies. This is like just, the core of it is sometimes we just want to have the pity party. We just want people to agree with us and say, yeah, that's so hard. Like that is so hard that your husband works 24-hour shifts. Mine doesn't, but I'm just saying, for example, I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't be able to get my workout in either. No, don't be that friend. Don't be that person. Be the person who's like, that is tough. Like you are in a hard situation. What if and then come up with solutions? I think that is such a big cultural thing with all the self-care and all the like, poor me, woe is me crap. I'm not saying self-care is woe is me. I just did an episode on the importance of self-care, but I'm saying like, we really like to do the commiserate, like, oh man, that is hard. That doesn't make anybody feel better, right? What we need is like, to look for solutions, not just sit in our excuses and be like, this is the worst. It's not helpful if you're sitting down in a ditch for someone to walk by and be like, that, I'm really sorry you're in that ditch. Like that stinks. No, like give me your hand and help me find a way out of it. Help me figure out a way. You don't have to help me out of it. Just say like, hey, there's a stick right there. Like try that out. And then, the person can get out of the ditch or not. And that's how I feel about a lot of these things is like, there are real obstacles, there are real issues, there are real facts, but we can either sit on them, dwell in them, blow them out of proportion, get people to agree with us about how hard they are, or we can figure it out and keep moving with what we do have. All right. I'm going to regret later that I read that on here, but I hope you liked it. Share it with somebody. We got to just tell the people the truth. All right. Have a great rest of your day, ladies. I appreciate you being here. And next time, I'm very, very excited about next episode. I have not talked about this before on this podcast. We're going to talk about foods to eat for a better mood. So talking about different hormones and what they do for us, briefly what they do for us, but more importantly, what foods we can eat to get some of these feel good, happy hormones. So literally making it easier for us to be happy. I'm pumped about that. All right. I'll talk to you then. Have a great rest of your day.